Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thundertron podcast. So today I'm discussing and giving my thoughts on the recently revealed Wave 1 of Stu series releasing in 2024. Let me think of all these figures in the comments section down below. Which will you be picking up and which ones will you be passing on? Let's start off by talking about the core classes. Starting off our core classes, here we have the Transformers Stu series Bumblebee movie core class Rumble. So most of us probably do know Rumble never appeared in the Bumblebee movie and that opening Cybertron battle scene, so you might be wondering, why is this under the Bumblebee movie name? Why is he a Bumblebee movie core class figure? Well, this is actually based off early concept art. It's pretty much, if Rumble was to appear in that Bumblebee movie, this is what he was going to look like, or is supposed to look like. And there is actually quite a few more concept characters in this first wave of Stu series for 2024, and I'll actually talk about and discuss those a little bit later in this podcast segment or video. But getting into the basic information, the price and the release date, well, as of the time I'm recording this audio, it's kind of up in the air because I'm actually recording this audio and this video before they've actually been put up for pre-order. I'm only using the information from the news sites and the images from Limited Comic Con that people have taken pictures of, so we really can only guess and kind of theorize right now. Price, of course, since this is a core class, I would assume this is probably $12 to $15, kind of depending where you buy and purchase your figures, your action figures from. Release date, I'm assuming most likely, because this is the first wave of Stu series for 2024, I think it'll probably be released very closely beside the first wave of Legacy United of 2024, and most of those figures are probably, January, February, pretty much all in that time frame. So most of these will probably, I'm assuming, most likely be February, maybe March, maybe even January as well. We'll really just have to wait and see. Now, when is this going to be put up for pre-order? Because that's definitely been a question on a lot of people's minds, because, there was the 10/27 live stream. Quite a few people, myself included, were kind of expecting and hoping to see some Stu series figures revealed on that day, but we got nothing. So I think quite a few people have been saying this, myself included. We're probably going to see the reveals of these figures, or them being put up for pre-order this Tuesday, the 31st of October, or Halloween, because there is actually several drop zones or drop dates on Earth Entertainment, and if you're wondering what that is, it's pretty much just like little hints about figures being dropped on that day, and there is actually one of those drop zones or drop dates on that Tuesday, and they don't specifically mention Transformers in that hint, but it's thoroughly implied there will be Transformers on that day. So I'm assuming it will be that, or we could be, completely surprised by something else. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's it for the basic information. So now for my thoughts. I actually think it looks pretty cool. There is one very interesting design cue that actually really caught me off guard that I was not expecting. It's actually the pile drivers or the hammers. So it does appear to me, of the images that we have, of the look we have of this figure, the hammers are actually kind of built into his arms, or pretty much are his arms, which I think is pretty cool, because typically in the past for Rumble and Frenzy, usually the hammers have been a separate accessory, like the Stu series one, or they've just been not included, like the old Micromaster ones from Siege and Earthrise. So never really have I seen them actually be built into the arms, or actually act as the arms, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's a really fun twist. He actually does have two really cool kind of blasters or weapons on his back. With the images we have, I don't really know if they're removable. They might actually be a permanent piece, a part of the back. Like, I'm pretty sure when they made a Bumblebee movie Ravage, he did have some blasters on his hind legs, but those were permanently attached. You could not remove them. So it could be the case where they just are permanently on there, or maybe you can remove them. Maybe you can actually attach them to like the hammers or the arms. I am actually very interested in one thing. I do have a question. Maybe you can actually kind of untransform the arm and maybe bring in a hand, or it could be the case where the arms are always the hammers. Maybe that's just what they are. Maybe there is no hand in there. We'll just have to wait and see. He does transform into a cassette. The number of steps is actually unknown. I've yet to see any image of the back of the box. There is an image of the front of the box, which there should be an image of all three things: the box, the robot, and the automote up on your screen right now for you to see, but I have yet to find any image of the back of the box to see the number of steps. Since it's a core class, I'm probably assuming 10 to 15, maybe 20 at max. That's usually what it is. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I probably will be passing on this because they literally just released, a Stu Series 86 Core Class Frenzy and Rumble not too long ago this year, and I have both of them, and I think they're pretty fun, small, cute little Core Class figures. I do know, of course, very different designs in comparison. One's live action, one's G1 cartoon. Completely understandable if you want to get both, that's great, but I just don't think I need two versions of the same character of the same class size, but with just different designs. Maybe I will give it a chance. Maybe if I see a review and it just amazes me, just wows me, I'll give it a chance. But for now, I definitely have much higher priority purchases on my list. But that's it for Rumble. And of course, one last thing I have to say. Obviously, we will probably most likely get a repaint or redeco of this figure into an inevitable Frenzy with his black and red deco. Probably no new tooling, it's probably going to be the exact same thing, it's really just a matter of time. They did the exact same thing with Rumble and Frenzy and the Stu Series line of 86. But now for the second and final Core Class figure, we actually have the Transformers The Last Knight Core Class Mohawk, which I'm actually really glad they're getting back into The Last Knight, because correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe they've made a few The Last Knight figures, but if they have, it's only been like one or two, or they might have not actually made any. I don't pay attention to The Last Knight that much. I might have missed a few. If they again have, it's probably been like one or two. They definitely have covered the more early movies rather than the later, 4 and 5. They've done a lot in 1, 2, and 3, but they really haven't touched a lot with 4 and 5. So I'm actually really glad to see. If this is the first one of The Last Knight, that's great. But if it isn't, still I'm glad they're kind of bringing it back into the spotlight. But it looks pretty cool. Again, probably will pass on this one because there's much more interesting figures in this wave, in my opinion. But it's still really good to see that they're going back to the 5th movie. And I hope they can actually, kind of a side note, but I do hope they can complete the Dinobots from Age of Extinction, because I probably won't get them, but it would just be really cool to see a complete set of those with those really cool designs. But he does turn into a motorcycle. Of course, he actually has a crazy mohawk on his head because he is Mohawk. I do like the motorcycle. It looks pretty cute and fun. It actually does show the front of the box. Again, does not show the back of the box, but again, probably like 15 to 20 steps. And the price, typical kind of $12 to $15 range. And release date, again, kind of up for speculation. But that's pretty much it for the Core Classes. Let's now talk about the Deluxes. Starting off our Deluxes, here we have the Transformers Stu Series Deluxe Class Rise of the Beast Wheeljack. So this has definitely been one quite a few people have been pretty interested in, which I've always actually found it very funny with this Wheeljack design for Rise of the Beast, because when we first saw it and heard about the Rise of the Beast Wheeljack design, a lot of people had so much hate for it, they just despised it. I was always kind of in the middle, but now that there was rumors of a Stu Series Rise of the Beast Wheeljack, people just were so interested in just dying to see it. So it's been kind of a love and hate relationship for this figure and this design. It's been pretty interesting, kind of off and on, and again, I've always been kind of in the middle, but I probably will get this figure because I'm actually trying to create like an ultimate crazy Rise of the Beast display in my collection. I just recently decided to do that. I'm pretty behind in the Rise of the Beast game for the figures. I really don't have that many, so I have actually quite a bit to go, but I think he looks pretty cool. So price most likely will be $25. The release date is kind of to be determined right now. And just, disgusting with what the images that we have. He does come with a blaster. I think it might be only one accessory because it does show both the robot and the alt mode. It should be up on your screen right now. And it only shows him with one pistol or one blaster. So I guess he only comes with one accessory. I was hoping maybe they could have tried to do those really cool kind of arm cannons, he had in the final battle. It actually really reminded me of Transformers Prime, where their weapons or their blasters formed out of their forearms. I think that would have been really cool if they could have done that with this Deluxe Class figure, but unfortunately they did not want to take that option or go that approach. But he does have his door wings. I'm pretty sure that was one major complaint with the mainline release when, Rise of the Beast was, at its peak, at the most hype. That mainline one, I don't think he actually had any door wings at all. I never owned that figure, but I think from the reviews I've seen, he did not have door wings. This one does, which is really cool to see. I'm unaware if the goggles are, movable or removable. We'll just have to wait and see with that. But I do love the TV repair van. It's very old style, very classic, retro. I do love the brown and kind of creamy white color there. And there's the really cool silver at the front, and overall just such a cute small little van. And it actually does appear, I'm not sure about all 4 wheels, but I actually can see the back 2 wheels are pinned. I actually can see the silver pin from the image I'm using right now. So the front 2, it's at an angle where I really can't see the silver pin, so it might just be where the front 2 are mushroom peg and the back 2 are pinned, or it could be all 4, we don't know. But that's pretty cool to see on a Deluxe. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I definitely will be giving this one a chance. But now moving on to the second Deluxe, which I have to say, in my opinion, I'm definitely more interested in, and I will be getting this one as well. But this is the Transformers Studio Series Rise of the Beast Deluxe Class Scorponok, and he looks pretty cool. I actually really like the Scorpion mode, all the, you know, creepy insect legs, the huge stinger, the huge claws. So this is one where Hasbro actually had a bit more free reign with what they could have done for the robot mode, because in the final battle, you know, we would see Scorponok in the final battle and in the opening scene of Rise of the Beast, but they never transformed. You know, it was kind of an army. There was no singular, just, you know, this is Scorponok, the character, you know, kind of like Optimus. There's not multiple Optimuses, it's just one Optimus Prime, but there was a whole army of Scorponoks, but they never really transformed. Now, I actually did say kind of in a theory video before we saw these reveals, actually, you know, the real images, before we just had the listings, I was thinking they could have taken that really cool design, that really cool robot mode from the final battle. You know, there was this very crazy angular robots they actually used as the army for Scourge. You know, they were trying to keep the Autobots and Maximals away from the transwarp key. Those never transformed either, and they really never confirmed or denied that those were actually, you know, the Scorponoks transformed to their robot modes. So there is actually quite a few, you know, henchmen or kind of soldiers, and we were never really sure, you know, which one's which. Do they transform or do they not? But it would have been cool. I actually really would have liked if they had used that crazy design, you know, with all the claws and the eyes for that, but I don't think that's what they used. But I still think this robot mode looks pretty cool. I actually do quite like the bright pink. I do think that's inaccurate, though. I'm pretty sure on the film it was more of like a reddish orange, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not, like, you know, huge set on accuracy, so it doesn't bother me. And it does appear the huge stinger, you know, the tail actually kind of forms the weapon or kind of the whip or something for the accessories. So I think that's pretty cool. And the head sculpt just looks crazy. Tons of eyes, some crazy spikes. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I think this will be a great figure for an army build, because as I mentioned, I'm going to try and create, you know, a crazy Rise of the Beast display. So I probably will be getting maybe 2 or 3 of these to create, you know, a huge Scorponok, you know, army in the background, you know, fighting the Maximals and Autobots. So that's going to be pretty cool. But that is pretty much it for the Deluxes. Now, starting off our Voyagers, here we have the Transformers Studio Series 86 Voyager Class Scrap Heap. So I'm not going to spend that much time on this figure, because I'm pretty sure I already did a community post covering this figure, and I'm pretty sure also a separate Thundertron podcast summit. So I'm not going to spend that much time, because the other Voyager we have yet to discuss and show off is far more interesting that I've never mentioned on the channel before, other than a quick community post, but video-wise, never mentioned it. So I'm just going to quickly, you know, touch base with it and move on with the next Voyager. But let me know your thoughts on this Voyager and of course the other Voyager in the comments. But I think it looks cool. I probably will be passing on it. I mean, maybe give it a chance if it's on sale, but I definitely think the other Voyager that I've yet to mention is far more interesting to me, that I will 100% be purchasing day one when it's posted on Hasbro Pulse. But it's just a heavy, extensive retool of the 86 Voyager class Wreck-Gar, which was released quite a while ago. I think that was actually one of the first Voyager class figures of the Studio Series 86 subline, so definitely kind of come full circle here. But pretty much that mold, just heavily, extensively retooled, you know, new paint apps. I think probably the same accessories, maybe. I can't be certain about that. I never owned that mold or that figure, so a bit unsure right now. But he does have a pretty cool motorcycle mode. I'm assuming probably the same number of steps as Wreck-Gar. I'm pretty sure there was another retool using Wreck-Gar as well. So I think this is like the 3rd or 4th version of the mold. So if you have those, probably the same number of steps. You kind of know what to expect with this figure. But price will most likely be $35. It's a Voyager, and again, release date is kind of unsure at the moment. But now getting into the next Voyager class figure, which I am definitely very excited for, but it's actually kind of gotten some backlash because I actually did post a few images when it was dropped and kind of leaked on the Transformers news sites and social medias, and in my community posts a lot of people did not like this figure. There was a lot of hate for it, which really surprised me. Do I think this is perfect? No, I don't. I do have a few problems, but I actually am pretty pleased, pretty happy with it. So this is the Transformers Series Gamer Edition Voyager class Starscream. So I do want to mention my complaint first because I don't, want to have it, on my mind for the rest of this section for Starscream. I just want to mention it now and then get to all the good stuff, all the stuff I like about it. So, what a lot of people I have been hearing complain about this is the size of the wings and the chest, the cockpits, which I think the size of the wings is fine. I don't think that bothers me at all. Yes, they probably could be bigger. I think they do look a tad bit small, but it really doesn't bother me that much because I never display my figures in their alt modes. They do seem a tad bit small for the ship mode, but not to a point where it would bother me as much as the cockpit on the chest. So you might be wondering what's going on with the cockpit on the chest. Well, it just seems way out of proportion with the rest of the figure. And I actually did used to own the original version. I didn't own Starscream, when the when Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron had just released. They did make a few figures. I think they did make a Starscream. I never owned him. I think I owned Thundercracker. I don't own it anymore. I'm pretty sure that's long gone. I sold it many, many years ago. But on that figure, I distinctly remember the cockpit was much more slender and small. That being said, I actually had a problem with that mold, that figure. I thought the chest was too small for the size of the figure. Proportion wise, it was too small, so it's been kind of too small or too big. It's kind of weird, but it does seem a bit out of place compared to the rest of the figure. It just seems too big compared to his arms, and his legs, but not, the biggest deal. I think there's a lot of hate for it. I'm just, speaking from what I've read in my comments on my community posts, just a lot of people do not like it. I wouldn't call it a disappointment. I mean, again, I do have one complaint with the cockpit. It could be better, but getting into the things I like about it, I actually really like the accessories. It comes with a really cool metallic purple mace, kind of like the same design as Megatron, the Voyager class figure, so that's pretty cool. Not the same molding, but you can definitely see they took some design cues from one another. It also comes with a really cool sniper rifle, which I always like. And I think overall the sculpting, the head sculpt looks very classic to Starscream. I've always loved how the bottom of his feet are actually his thrusters or his engines from the jet mode, and the jet mode actually looks pretty cool. That is one thing you do have to one thing I did kind of notice is the cockpit really only stands out and looks odd in the robot mode. I think size wise and proportion wise it does work for his jet mode, so it's just kind of how it turned out. It is hard, because they didn't want to make the cockpit small for the robot mode, but then of course it looked too tiny for the jet mode, so they really had to try and find kind of a middle ground to work for both modes. The wings, I don't really know what to say because it personally doesn't bother me. If you have any problems with that, let me know what your thoughts on that are in the comments. Yes, they are small, but it does not bother me as nearly as much as the cockpit, but I'm very impressed. I definitely will be purchasing this figure. Yes, there's a few complaints, but I think it turned out great. I pretty much will be buying all of these these Gamer Edition, War for Cybertron figures I can, because I never really owned any of the originals, so most of these figures and these designs are kind of brand new to me. If you do already own the Starscream or the Thundercracker, I could see why maybe you would pass on it, but that is pretty much it for the Voyager class figures. Now for one final figure we need to discuss, it is the Leader class figure of Studio Series Wave 1 for 2024, that being the Transformers Studio Series Bumblebee Leader class Megatron. So this is a pretty big deal for multiple reasons, because this is another concept character. It's pretty much like if Megatron were to appear and be Bumblebee, this is what he was going to look like, or this is what he was supposed to look like. It's just based off, early drawings, concept art, maybe a few ideas were floating around of putting him in the film, but it just didn't make it to the final cut. Another pretty big deal is actually he is a triple changer, which has actually been quite a while since I've seen a triple changer being released by Hasbro, me getting or not getting the figure, but I would say, triple changers are cool and all. Yes, they're a good thing, but they can also be kind of the downfall of the figure, because a lot of people have said this. I've said this for years on end with reviewing and not, that usually a triple changer, one of the modes is not that good. Most of the time, two of the modes are pretty solid, but one gets the short end of the stick, because you do have to realize he transforms into a robot, a tank, and a ship, I think. One of those modes is going to be stuck with all that kibble from the previous two modes. You have to realize Megatron in his robot mode has to store away all the junk, all the kibble from the tank and the ship mode, and vice versa for all those other two modes. So I would say if you're going to get this figure, don't expect too much, because there might be one mode that's just not as good, and I think I picked out that mode that's not as good. To be honest, I've seen a lot of praise for this figure and this mold. I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know. It just didn't really turn out how I was expecting. It just doesn't work for me. Truth be told, even if this figure was, fantastic, even if it turned out as good as I was hoping, I probably would have passed on it anyway, because I don't own a single Stu Series Bumblebee movie figure at all, so I really don't know where I put it in my collection anyway. But I starting off just with proportions, I think his forearm weapon is too big. His head sculpt is fine. I think he has way too much gray. I do know Megatron's traditional design, like from the G1 series, was like 100% gray or gunmetal gray, which is fine. I think they could have just used some more colors. Like most of it is that dark gray with a bit of silver, so some more paint apps would have been a nice touch. I do think the sides of his legs have a bit too much panel kind of creases and lines. It's not that, there's a lot of panels, it's just there's too much creases and gaps and holes, so don't look at that. Getting into his tank mode, I definitely think this is one of the very few times where I actually probably like his tank mode more than his robot mode, which does not happen very often. I do love the really cool kind of tank tread sections in the front, and I don't know, but I think it would be so cool if it actually had real, rubber treads or like rolling wheels. Either would be awesome. I'm not sure. And you can assume his blaster does become, or his forearm weapon does become, the tank barrel. That's pretty much always how it turns out. And no, I think the tank really works. I'm assuming, hopefully, maybe the turret does have some rotation. The top turret section, maybe it can, move slightly, maybe a full 360. We don't really know at the moment. And as for his jet mode, this is definitely the weakest of the modes, in my opinion. From the images we have, I don't want to come across, too, hateful of the figure, too judgmental of the figure. Now, I'm just giving you my honest opinion. If you do like the figure, that's perfectly fine. It just really doesn't impress me that much. It's not the worst figure I've seen, but I think they could have done better. But the jet mode really reminds me of the situation with the Revenge of the Fallen, it's a great robot mode, but with the alt mode with him, it was just like a hodgepodge mess. We were like, what is this? Many reviewers, myself included, were like, what is this supposed to be? It's just like some pancake of a ship. We did kind of that same thing with Bumblebee movie Soundwave. He turned into like a little square. We were like, is this supposed to be like a hoverboard or like a speeder? Like you're supposed to have someone stand on it. We really weren't sure. And that probably has something to do with the concept art, because they were just going off old drawings and some notes, and it's a triple changer. I think even if this figure or this character was in the Bumblebee movie, it still probably might have not turned out any better. It could have been worse. I don't know. But the jet mode just doesn't look that good to me. That being said, I don't really have that many images on hand of the jet mode. I actually have much better images and views of the robot and the tank. Much better angles. The pictures that I have are not very good. They're actually kind of a straight on perspective. I really would have liked to have one, above the ship to see what the top looks like. So that being said, I could change my opinion drastically over the ship, but as of right now, it just doesn't work for me. But I can fully understand people's interest in this because, you know, we really have never gotten like a concept, you know, Megatron before. It's been, you know, oh, this is Megatron who appeared in the first Michael Bay movie, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, you know, and so on. So it's pretty interesting, you know, to have a Megatron, like one of the most popular villains, and you're like, oh, this was supposedly maybe gonna appear in the movie, but never did. So it's pretty interesting. But yeah, it doesn't work for me. I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh. If you do enjoy it again, that's perfectly fine. It just doesn't really work for me. But that is pretty much it for the entire wave. I do really hope you enjoyed this Thundertron podcast. I mean, hopefully it wasn't too long. I was really trying to get, you know, straight to the point, just get all the figures. Again, I will do kind of a follow-up, sort of part 2 of the Stu series, wave 1 for 2024, because, you know, again, they haven't even posted them online yet. So, you know, all of these, you know, some of them, I could change my opinions massively. You know, some of the ones I like, I could dislike when they post them online. Some of the ones I dislike, I could like. Like Megatron, I might like a lot more, but yeah, they should post them, I'm assuming, very soon, because I've mentioned this before, but one of the Hasbro people, marketers or designers, they did say they would post them or have them up at the end of October. So, you know, kind of TikTok, they don't have that many days left, so it's really just a matter of time. We're thinking Tuesday, the last day, so we'll see, but once they post them, I will do, you know, a follow-up video with that updated information. Keep in mind, that video will definitely be a lot shorter because I've already done this one. That one will just be like, here's the price, here's the release date, that's it, you know. But please do let me know all your thoughts on these figures in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my opinions? If you disagree, that's fine. Just which ones you like, which ones you don't, and I'll see you next time.